two parents, 6 kids, 1 dog, a camper named Ruby, and a car named The Beast. Distance learning across the USA and interviewing interesting people we meet along the way. This is the Ruby Road Stage Tour Podcast. Hi everybody, this is Carmen Ventrucci with the Ruby Road Stage Tour Podcast. I wanted to include this quick video note before this podcast episode because it does deal with a really important topic. My guest, Andrea Wieser, tells us how she created a sober housing program for women battling addiction. Although this topic is very important and very inspiring, I wanted to give you parents a heads up that this is what we're discussing, just in case you prefer your children not listen to this episode. For those of you that might need help or have friends or family that need help, we've included several links and important phone numbers below in the show notes. Please use these numbers, use these resources if you need them. There are several National Crises Hotline phone numbers and information on how you can contact Andrea personally if you are interested in learning more about the Powerhouse for Women. So, enjoy this episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Ruby Road Stage Tour Podcast, where we interview interesting people we meet along the way. Now, these people are from all walks of life, yet the one thing they have in common is that they follow their road. My name is Carmen Ventrucci, and I'm very excited to introduce today's guest, Andrea Wieser. So, Andrea is one of my best friends from back home in Minnesota, and she has so many great stories, so many great experiences throughout her life. I just had to have her as a guest on this podcast because you guys are going to love her as much as I do. So Andrea is pretty much a badass in all aspects of life. She's a real estate investor. She invests in real estate while keeping her full-time 9-to-5 job, and she is one of the most caring people I have ever encountered. So Andrea, thank you so much for being on the show.
Good morning, Carmen. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank you for being a great inspiration and a supporter for me. I wouldn't get half the things done that I do without having you there by my side.
So Andrea, the stage is yours. What do you want to talk about today?
Good morning. What I would like to talk about today is my path and how it led me to Powerhouse. First, Powerhouse is a sober house for women who are in addiction recovery. We've been going strong since October of last year. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about kind of what led me to kind of start up something that I initially was not interested in. So as Carmen said, I'm a real estate investor. Carmen and I have been learning together for several years, and through different channels and classes and seminars that we've taken, we've learned different ways to make money with real estate. And one of those ways is sober housing. Initially, that wasn't something that I had really planned on doing because it wasn't something that had sparked my interest, right? It's more of a labor-intensive process to make money from a property, and I'm trying to be as, at the time, I was trying to be as passive as possible with my income. So through the course of my learnings and dealings, I had a friend reach out to me, a different friend, and she is in the recovery industry, and she advised me to, look into sober housing. At the time, it didn't really occur to me. It's not, again, something that I was initially interested in, but this friend knows me well, so I was feeling obligated to kind of check it out because obviously there was something that I was missing. And through my research, through my questions with people and interviews and all the information gathering processes that I did, I found out that men will get into addiction because they're men, right? Guys do stupid things. They have friends that they shouldn't be hanging out with, and that's just kind of how it works, right? Mm-hmm. Sorry, we love you guys. Women, on the other hand, tend to get into addiction because they are masking trauma of some sort of abuse or trauma, or something that happened to them that they're trying to forget or ease the pain. And that, for me, when I found out that information, sparked a match. And so then I wanted to find out more. And through my dealings, my research with the sober housing, the house next door to me happened to come up for sale in a roundabout sort of way. As I was coming home one day, I saw a big branded van parked next to the house next door, and it had a "We Buy Houses" logo on it with a big fat phone number, right? And that's a huge banner that says, "Hey, there's an investor working on this house, and we want you to call us because we have stuff to sell you." So I knocked on the door because I wanted to see if it happened to be the owner operator for the investment company, and it was not. But I did call the number on the van, and long story short, the house was mine, which is kind of funny in and of itself, because the people who used to rent the house were unsavory characters, to say the least.
Yeah, so I'm going to pause you there because I want people to realize like how cool this story is. And I find this story hilarious. Andrea does not like her neighbors, sees that the house is for sale, raises her hand and says, "I want to buy this house," and turn it from something that annoys the crap out of me to something that is powerful and helps people reset their lives. Like, a lot of people wouldn't have the wherewithal to put those connections together that, hey, I can turn this ugly thing into something beautiful, and not beautiful from an aesthetic point of view, beautiful from a community, beautiful to help rewrite people's stories.
Right.
I mean, that's just amazing. I think that's one of my favorite stories ever.
I purchased the house next door, and just to give you a little bit of background, the tenants that were in this house would be smoking pot at 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, I know everybody has hardships, right? But what kind of life do you have to have that's so horrible that you gotta, spark up at 7 a.m.? It was bad. And, domestics and all kinds of crazy stuff was happening in the house. So for me to acquire the house was a sense of security, right? An opportunity to do something much better with the property than was previously being done. So we got in there, we got everything fixed up, we made it beautiful. Who knows, maybe I'll even post some pictures when we're done. But
yes.
Yeah, it was a fresh redo, top to bottom, new paint, new flooring, new everything. And so it took a little while to get everything pulled together, because right as I'm acquiring the property, COVID strikes. And so that lengthened our process and threw up roadblocks. It was challenging to get, furniture and things like that. It was sometimes a huge negotiation to get contractors because they were afraid of COVID, right? And I try to use the family-owned businesses, right? The mom and pop shops. But eventually we did get it done. It was a long journey. I'm a better person for it, and we got it done. And so now we have women in there who are, they come from many backgrounds, all ages, all races. Some people who have been in the house never knew what it was like to have a home, right? They're middle-aged and they've been couch surfing their entire life, There are people who, had to watch horrible things as a result of substance abuse in their lives as children. And then, growing up and stepping into that path themselves. So those women that come in, we help them to learn a better way. The way they used to have fun, what they labeled as fun is not fun anymore, right? It's got to be something else. So we try to introduce them to as many different different activities as possible, right? We're trying to help them find the things that they're interested in, find their passion, find their purpose in life, really, because that's when things really click for you, you know?
Yes, absolutely. When you have something to work for, where you figured out your why and your purpose, it makes things so much easier because you have that compass.
Yep.
Like pointing to your personal true north.
Absolutely.
And so you mentioned you have a lot of activities. What are some of the activities you have in the Powerhouse?
So earlier in February, we went to, well, it was virtual this year, but the Hudson Hot Air Affair, where they do the hot air balloon launch. You know, we try to get people out, community activities. Our program requires people to do community service, because as a well-rounded individual, those are things that you should be participating in. If you are a middle-class person and you're not doing any kind of philanthropic stuff, I encourage you to, get out. And for the women in the house, it can be something as minor as picking up trash in the neighborhood or shoveling the neighbor's walk or something just very simple like that, right? We also, probably once every couple of weeks, we'll get out and we'll do, bigger activities. So Saturday next week, we're going out to do a spa day. We're going to have pedicures. We teach our women about self-care, because we as women, as we all know, we always put ourselves last, and we can't take care of anybody if we are not the best version of ourselves. If we're not getting sleep, if we're not getting, fed on a regular basis. I mean, I know women who hold their bladders during the day because they're too busy. They have the next meeting to go to, that they don't even stop to go to the bathroom on time. And so, we try to encourage the healthy self-care habits, right? And then learn what the incentives are that you can give yourself, right? The treats.
The rewards, the celebrations.
Yes. And to know the difference between the two, right? Getting your hair cut is not a special treat. You have to get your hair cut. You have to. Sorry. Now, if you want to get it colored or do something, super special, that can be a treat, but we have to understand that, there are certain things that aren't a treat, they're a necessity. The other things that we do at the house, we're going to be tilling up the backyard. We're going to start a garden.
Wonderful.
We help women find work, and not just a job, but something that they're interested in. One of the ladies that we have in the house right now was interested in real estate. So I took her to my investor meeting on Tuesday, first Tuesday of the month. And she enjoyed it quite a lot. So I hope she'll go next month. We try to bring in a lot of crafts for the women to keep their hands busy, to keep their minds busy, right? We also do a lot of reading. We take donations of books. So if anybody's got books that they want to send us, whatever their recommended reading is, I'll post our Facebook information so you can send us anything that you think might help them. But yeah, we try to just keep them busy, get them interested in something else. And I got to say, it's been pretty amazing. I like the rush of investing in real estate. That doesn't even compare to the experience I've had setting up Powerhouse. There were several times where I kind of stopped myself and went, holy smokes, what the hell have you done? There were several times. The first time was when I signed the paperwork, right? Purchasing the property. I said to myself, holy crap, what have you done? Because the whole time I've had my 9 to 5, right? I've been working 8 hours a day and then going over to Powerhouse and painting or sanding or sealing or flooring or whatever it was, right? A lot of holy crap moments when, I was past the milestones for the inspections and things like that. But I have to say, the people that I've met along the way, just telling people what I'm doing, right? Explaining what I'm trying to get going, what I'm trying to get started. The stories that I've heard about sober housing helping people get to a better place have been mind-blowing. And people will bend over backwards and, you know, here, do this, take this, you know, let me help you with that. Here, talk to this guy, you know, he'll do it for free. Just really amazing to hear the individual stories that go along with that. And like I said, that these can't even compare to the rush that you get from investing in real estate. So, you know, as we discussed, it always sounds cliche, right? You see the Facebook posts that talk about, you know, finding your purpose and figuring out your why and, you know, blah, 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 right? From a distance, when you're not there, it just kind of seems silly. But when you have that moment where it clicks, it's actually pretty mind-blowing. And it doesn't feel like work.
Right.
That's how you.
And so I've been fortunate enough to have a front row seat to your journey in creating the Powerhouse, even like from the idea, from conception to execution to reality. And I've seen you grow as a person so much. And you're right. I'm going to say something, and I'm not saying this to offend you. I'm saying this to illustrate a point. You were wandering a little bit. You were wandering.
I was
And
lost. I was lost in the woods.
Once you found this purpose, you were like, nope, that is where I am going, and there is nothing that will stop me on my way there. I know there will be obstacles, and I'm still going to get there.
Yes. And, you know, to your point too, it's really funny because I was wandering. You're absolutely right. And since pulling this all together, you know, when I got to the point of, I have to figure out what my logo is going to be, I have to figure out what my taglines are going to be, you know, all the kind of branding and marketing stuff that needs to go with this. Like, when I started to conceptualize those things because of the journey, it was one and done for all those things, man. The stuff just came, you know, barfing out of my head for lack
well, you were in such alignment. Like, you knew your purpose, you knew what you wanted to do. And so it wasn't like a wishy-washy, oh, maybe this or maybe that. It was like, no, this is what it is.
Yep.
And it was awesome.
Yeah. And so most recently, I got to pause, Carmen. I got to give a shout out right here to Tracy Miller.
Absolutely.
I'm going to steal her thunder a little bit and just tell a little bit about her story, right? Because we're on the lines of inspiration. And so out of the blue, right, as I'm kind of connecting with people in your network, I don't even remember. I had asked you a question about something and you said I needed to talk to her. So I reached out, and she'll probably get on another show of yours and
she's
tell.
Going to be a guest on this podcast. She doesn't know it yet. She will be a guest on this podcast.
It just she kind of had a lightning bolt because Tracy Miller runs the Pink Powerhouse Society, and so, you know, she saw my Facebook. She saw the Facebook post, and she saw that Powerhouse is actually pink, right?
The actual house is pink on the outside.
Yes, and needs paint this spring, but I think it's still going to stay pink.
I think you have to now. It's part of your brand.
It is. Yeah, I agree. So anyhow, she reached out to me and, you know, has been another, you know, contributing force, right? And it was really kind of a universal magnetism. And that's what has been happening to me since. And it's weird. It's weird in a good way, but it's
awesome weird.
It just is. There, as I said before, there's no deviation, there's no hesitation, there's no maybe this person fits in, maybe they don't fit in, you know, they just come to you like out of the woodwork, right? And they just are literally drawn to you. So if you're a fan of you know, The Secret or As You Think, right, it happens exactly like that. So Tracy has been helping me out. She's been great. You know, through Tracy, it was through Carmen. I came back to Cody Rain, and he's going to help me out. And when we sat down together, it was the same thing, right? He asked me what I'm thinking, and I just listed everything in bullet point form, you know, and he kind of laughed at me and said, you know, you don't know what you want, do you? And it was, very specific. So, and the doors keep opening, right? I got connected to Sarah Vincent, who is doing recovery services for troubled youth in Oregon. I've been connected to some other people who are doing some equine assisted therapy stuff. And the network grows, right? And it puts down roots, and it kind of almost runs itself, right? So long as you follow that lead, so long as you take that cue, the doors just keep opening one after the other. And like I said, it's just been very unexpected and very amazing. And I'm thankful for all of it.
And I'm so glad you're talking about this, because I love networking. I believe in the power of networking. I'm a little bit of a networking junkie. And I love that you're teaching the women who are in the Powerhouse, who are going through their sobriety journey, the power of networking, because now they are all connected to each other. They are now connected to you. Because they're connected to you, they're connected to me. And so it's just so refreshing was the first word that came to mind. That's not the right word. It's it makes me happy on the inside. It gives me all sorts of warm fuzzies that you're showing these women the power of their network, and that their network can be a good thing, because in the past maybe that was not the case.
Yes, and actually, Carmen, that's been one of my biggest learnings, right? You know me, you've known me for a long time, right? I'm an army of one.
Yes.
I'm a catalyst. I'm a force to be reckoned with. But above all else, the one thing that I learned through all of this is I couldn't do it myself.
Right.
So along with, lack of self-care as women, the other thing that we do is we think that we are the lone tree in the forest, and we don't reach out for help, or we assume that somebody would not want to help us because they're too busy, or whatever the case may be, right? Open your mouth, tell people what you need, tell people what you're looking for. Sometimes the things that you need that you think are difficult are very, very easy for somebody else.
Right.
Sometimes somebody is looking to give the thing that you need, right? So it's hugely important to not stand by yourself and think that you have to do everything by yourself. You'll be amazed when you start reaching out. You'll be amazed at who's willing to lend you a hand.
Exactly. I mean, it's the power of the village. We all need a village to raise our kids, to find help getting sober. We all need a village.
Right.
And that leads me to a really good question. So if you are an individual who thinks you might need help, or if you know somebody who needs help getting sober in their life, not necessarily to go to your Powerhouse specifically, but to find a sober house or to find help, where do you start?
So there's so many routes, right? There are counselors, there are national numbers for sobriety. There are inpatient treatment centers, there are outpatient treatment centers. Sometimes it's as much as, telling a friend and saying, hey, I think I need some help, can you go with me to the addiction services center, or whatever the case may be, right? It's almost that same concept of, when you're trying to build something, right? And it's not almost the same, it is the same, right? And so I guess I'm going to fall back into Powerhouse for a second. That's the unique part about our journey, right? When you need help with something, whether it's building a business or sobriety or whatever, when you're in a place where you don't know how you're going to get out, just reach out. They will help you. People will help you, whatever your local addiction services centers are. It's not hard. It's not hard to figure out. You can Google that information, figure out what the number is. There's the National Suicide Hotline. Maybe you don't want to commit suicide, but I guarantee you they'll be able to direct you to, recovery services in your area. So the basic concept is, you have to reach out. And to be honest, the women who are in recovery, the one thing that has really gotten me excited about all this is people who are changing themselves, whether it be dietary changes or habit changes. Maybe you want to eat healthier, maybe you want to exercise, maybe you want to learn more so that you can be something more than you are, right? You want to learn how to market, or you want to learn how to be a realtor, or you want to learn how to do this, right? It requires a change of your day-to-day process.
Mm-hmm.
And so women who are in treatment are doing a major overhaul of their day-to-day process. And so without knowing it, they have uniquely positioned themselves to go above and beyond, right? We're not sending these ladies back to McDonald's to work a 9 to 5. That's not what we're about, right? This is Powerhouse. This is about finding, your inner power, aligning with it, and then moving yourself forward, right? If you want to be a doctor, we're going to figure out how to, get you into school. We'll get you those scholarships, whatever you need to get it done, right? If you want to be a realtor, if you want to be in advertising, whatever it is, if you want to start a foundation for orphan children, right? We'll align you with the people, but that's what it's about, is making that big change, and the first thing that you need to do is you need to decide that you want a better life, that you want a bigger life, that you want more, and you deserve it. And until you decide that, until you make that decision, nobody can help you. Nobody can help you find your path. Nobody can help you find your purpose. You have to make the decision for yourself.
You're right. That power of decision is so key, and oftentimes the missing ingredient or the missing step on a lot of people's journeys. It's the power of decision. Andrea, I am so inspired from our conversation. This was wonderful. Where can people find more information about you and Powerhouse?
So Powerhouse is on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Powerhouse is also on LinkedIn. And when we get finished, I will definitely post the links, post the comments. We're always taking donations of stuff. We're trying to expand our learning library for our ladies. One of the up and coming things that I'm very excited about is Powerhouse is going to be starting a foundation. So we're going to start a nonprofit. It's already in the works. So for those people who need the tax deduction and prefer their money to go to a good cause, keep us in your mind. Send me an email if that's something that interests you. But we're gonna do some bigger and better things with these ladies. We're gonna subsidize part of their housing. We're gonna subsidize some of their learning. Hopefully take some trips, if we can get them into, some different seminars that they might be interested in. We're going to try and do some of those things as well. So like I said, if you're interested in donating to the foundation, drop me a note and we'll go from there.
Wonderful. And we'll make sure Andrea's contact information is in the show notes for those of you that are going to reach out to her.
Absolutely.
Andrea, thank you so much for being here. This was an inspiring conversation, and the world needs more of you, quite clearly.
Thank you so much, Carmen. I appreciate it.
So this is Carmen Ventrucci with another episode of the Ruby Road Stage Tour podcast. Tune into our next episode where we're going to interview more people who are also following their road. Check out my website at www.truesisulife.com and find out how I can help your business find over $10,000 in less than 45 minutes. And check out the Ruby Road's website at www.therubyroad.com. See you on the next episode. Hey everybody, this is Carmen again. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Ruby Road Stage Tour podcast. Remember, there are a ton of links and phone numbers in the notes below. So please, if you, your friends, or your family are in need of these resources, please reach out and get the help that you or they need. We are here to support you and we want to see you succeed. Thanks again for watching this inspiring episode of the Ruby Road Stage Tour podcast. Carmen Ventrucci, see you in the next episode.